So welcome back to Close Enough Garage. Today we're going to be installing a couple of plumbing shutoffs. It's going to be about the same process whether you're installing new ones on lines like this or whether you're replacing your old ones. You're still going to clean the pipe the same way, prep it the same way, and probably end up using just about the same product that I am. So to get right into it, I'm doing some of this because this is the actual endpoint of all the plumbing in my house. It all starts over there. It makes a short run and it all comes down right here. So I've got some work coming up where I need to evacuate that endpoint, and we've got this 70-year-old wash basin faucet on here. I'm not too interested in messing with it. I haven't touched it since we moved in. There's not even a wash basin on the other side of that anymore. Eventually we're going to put one in, and I would like to have it over here on the other side of this wall and relocate the washer and dryer and even the floor drain and all that stuff. So for a first step, we're going to go ahead and get it pre-set up with some new shutoffs. The only thing I'm going to do, I guess you could say wrong right now, is I'm going to face them out this way so I can drain them without having to climb behind my laundry table and move all that shit in the washer and everything else. When we go to put a wash basin in over there and run regular sink lines off of these shutoffs, I'll go ahead and turn them around and face them the other way. It's not a big deal. So the first things you're going to need some of these shutoffs. These are a 1/2-inch OD compressed inlet and a 3/8-inch OD compressed outlet. You can get different types, but these are solder free. They're very nice. I went with a 90-degree one. You can get straight ones and stuff like that too, but this is a 1/2-inch line coming in, the same as the rest of the lines in this house, and it's very common to put a 3/8 fitting on it so you can run the braided steel sink lines to a sink. That's actually what these have down here as well. Now these ones, it's all the way open. There's really nothing left in them. The first step to all this is you're going to want to shut your water off, or at least shut off the water coming to that direction. Here being on a well, I was able to shut it off at the main valve, and then I went over to the breaker box and shut off the hot water heater and shut off the inbound flow to that as well. I then picked a faucet or a water line, which I've got right here, as close to your project point as you can get. And you go ahead, get a bucket, open them up, let them drain out. These only spilled, they've got a couple spurts and drips still. They've only spilled maybe a quart of water, if that. So, you got your bucket there. You wrap your towels around your work area. There's still going to be some dripping coming from these pipes. This pipe in specific is still going to be loaded from at least this point down. Now, this one, I'll bring you in a little bit and show you. It's got fittings on it. I could take them off, take the whole faucet out, but then the fittings themselves are soldered on, and I'm just not going to mess with that. So we've got our new fittings. I've got 2 of those, a pipe cutter, a round file. I'm going to use 2 adjustable wrenches, and a Brillo pad. The only thing you're going to want to add to this arsenal of tools is some sandpaper, because whether the pipes are painted over like these were, these people loved painting over everything in this house. They got paint in places that I didn't know you could get paint in. So I came through with sandpaper already. I took it all down to bare smooth copper. You don't really want to wire wheel it or use any heavy tools because you don't want to take the roundness out of these pipes, and that's going to be an important theme with this. So I'm going to show you this pipe cutter here, and then I'll show you how to use it. We'll bring you in real close. So it's kind of like that. This is a small one. It's meant for working in tight areas. I love this one. They have bigger ones that are like out to here. Ones with a reamer point on the end of it. Looks like just like what you'd use to do brake lines and stuff like that. So we'll bring you up close and we'll get you in there. So there's the faucet, there's the lines, that's the fresh copper that I've sanded down to. It's a good thing I've got this short guy because there's not a lot of room in here. But yeah, you're going to want to take them down to a bare clean copper the best you can. This one has a bead of solder. I can feel it right there right where my fingertip is. So we're actually going to cut just a little bit above that. I'm going to start the cut over on this side. So what you do is you open up your pipe cutter, because if you use other types of cutting tools, you have a really good chance of taking the pipe out of round. This, you get it on there, tighten it down another quarter turn, you make a lap around the pipe, and it'll start getting loose, and it makes a really level, really clean, even cut. Tighten it down a little more, and you're just going to keep going around there until eventually it's cut all the way through. Give it another third to a half turn. You don't want to crank it all the way down, because then again you risk crushing the pipe. Now you can see it's starting to make a line where it's cutting. Bring it down another quarter, third turn, something like that. I know we're getting through this pipe pretty quickly here. Another quarter. And that's really all there is to it. You can see that line's getting darker, it's getting deeper. We're getting pretty far into the pipe now, so I'm probably not going to have you guys sit here and watch this for the length of this operation, because it's not necessary. You should have a pretty good idea of how it goes now. See, we're through the pipe. So what we've got now is a nice clean level cut on that. I'm going to come through and I'm going to do this side next. And we're going to basically kick this whole assembly out of here, get ourselves some room, and I'll show you guys the next part of the process. So now we're through both lines here. I'm going to go ahead, get a little bit of this water mopped up, get my towel out of the way, because the next step is that we're just going to kind of evict this assembly. Throw the bucket under there. And it looks like we might be nailed down. So what nails mean is more force. There we go. There's the old assembly out of there. So we'll throw that away. Thank you. I don't know why I just thanked my floor. It's been a long day already. So what you're going to do next is, you can probably feel it. You can even hear it. That little catch, that cutting tool is very clean, but it leaves a little bit of a burr. And it does that on the inside as well. There's actually a little bit more extreme of a burr. So that's where your round file is going to come in. You're just going to stick it up in there the best you can. Put it at a little bit of an angle and get all the way around it. See, that's how old this line is. It's full of sediment, dirt, and all that stuff because it hasn't been used. So, get our round file worked around in there now. And I'm not really feeling anything but dirty ass water now. Thankfully, it's not ass water. So, for the next step after this, I'm going to go ahead and do the same on this. Again, I'm going to spare you guys from having to watch all of that. My videos are already long enough. I know this. The inside of those pipes is now clean, and we're good there. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a towel back over here. We're still getting some drips, and I just want to keep things nice and neat. Now, this next part is the outer burr. You can use the same sandpaper you cleaned your pipes with, or go and do like I did, get a file, hit it at just an angle. This is a multi-directional file. It's crisscrossed. So for those yelling that I'm running it in the wrong direction, there is no wrong direction with this one. The right direction, though, is away from the end of the pipe. You don't run it up when you file. Run it down. It'll knock that burr down real nice and give you a good little angle on it. So I'm going to keep getting this, and then we will be back. Alright, the next step in cleaning up is you might have got most of the paint off, but come back with some industrial or mechanic Scotch-Brite. Just wrap it around there, kind of twist it up and down. You just want this copper to be as clean as possible. The reason for all this care, I will show you guys in a few minutes. Once again, we're going to go ahead and cut. The reason we're doing all this cleaning is because of these types of fittings. Now, they like it to be very clean. I'm going to step off frame here using my trash can. I like to keep my basement pretty clean usually. So, you got this fitting here. You have your 3/8 side. Oop, there we go. And you have your 1/2 inch side here. So, if you actually take this all the way apart, kind of looks like that. And then you have this brass crush fitting that's going to sit right in there. But it's also got to slip over nice and neat over the OD, the outside diameter of the pipe. So when you close everything together, this crushes against this frame here. And it causes this thing to kind of squish around that pipe. So it's got to be clean. It's a solder-free fit, but it's very temperamental. It's picky about its environment. So, as I was getting ready for the next segment, sorry, I got my emotional support bark down here. I realized I made a big mistake, and I was going to scrap the whole video because, you know, we here at Close Enough Garage don't make mistakes. But then I realized that it is a very teachable moment. Now, the parts that I had before that I'd said were 1/2 inch by 3/8, that was the right parts for most of this house. I've done the upstairs bathroom, the tub, sink, toilet. We did the kitchen, new dishwasher, all kinds of stuff, and everything has been 1/2 inch pipe here for the copper pipe. Probably because this also feeds the laundry, the washer. It's actually a 5/8 inch pipe. So the takeaway here is measure your stuff before you get into this. Now, the only real difference here on what's going on is the parts that I ended up having to go with. I went to my usual hardware store. They didn't have any of the nice quarter turn 90 degrees that I had gotten. So I got one of these multi-turns. And it's just like what you see in your toilet or behind your toilet. Instead of just a quarter turn on and off, this one takes multiple turns. And that's fine. To my knowledge and from my research, there's nothing in the code that says that these are wrong or that you can't use them. The reason the quarter turns are more popular in modern plumbing is because it's less of a failure point. The washer packing in here is less prone to leaking. It's easier to use, especially if you're getting into tight spaces up under sinks and all that stuff. You reach in, just give it a quarter turn instead of sitting here cranking this big oblong Ford-shaped handle. That being said, it's what is actually in the plumbing down here. I'm not sure if you can see, but for the sink output going to the bathroom over here, they're also multi-turns. So I'm going to go ahead and run these for now. When we redo this whole bathroom down here, I'm going to switch everything over to quarter turns anyway because of the ease of use and the longevity and all that stuff. So I'm going to bring you in here and we'll go over these last couple parts of installation. So what I was originally checking when I realized I had the wrong size, and I was going to show y'all what to do here. The reason you clean these up is because of these fittings going over it pretty tightly. So the way it goes on, it's pretty simple. You slide your retaining nut on, you take your compression, you make sure it fits nice and fairly decent over that pipe and that it doesn't snag on the end. And you go ahead and you test that on both sides. They're nice and clean. They're good to go. So you put both of those on in that order. You put your shutoff on and you push that pipe all the way to the end on it. Get it centered up and fasten it down. Now when I go to tighten these up, the way I'm going to tighten them up is I'm going to put one of these around the body and use the other one for the tightening nut. I don't know. There's going to be a plumber out there somewhere, I guarantee you. It's like, oh, that's wrong. You did it wrong. You know what? Dude, I don't care. I don't do this for a living. I'm doing this for my home. So, tighten that on. Just keep going good and snug until it locks in there. As I'd said before, the goal here is you're taking that compression washer and you got your pipe going through, and as you're tightening it, it's squeezing it around the pipe, and it should seal it completely and make for a good leak-free fitting. So this one should be done. It's good and steady on there. We'll go ahead and get the other one on, get everything dried up real nice and tightened up, tightened shut, and then we're going to go ahead and turn the water back on and test it. We've got everything installed now. I've got them shut off. I went ahead and turned on the main water to the house and the water heater breaker. I'll explain here in a minute why I shut that off as well. But for right now, I've been watching it. These lines have pressure. There's no leaks coming. So let's do a quick function test with our good old bucket here. There's good water. It's burping a little bit of that air out from the lines being empty. And also, whenever you mess with anything in your home, you're going to get a chance of sediment. Now, considering this was a deadhead in my water system, and there was a lot of sediment in there, we got a lot of sediment through here already. I'm going to get something to go ahead and put around this and direct it into the bucket, a funnel or something like that, so I can test that side. But I'm not going to do that on camera. What I am going to say is this is done. I do have the fittings and the compression washers off this side. I put them over that way in my house parts drawer for now until we go ahead and hook stuff up to this or swap these out. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry this the rest of the way and get a dry sheet of cardboard and lay there. So that way I can just kind of watch it without watching it over the next 12 to 24 hours to a week and make sure it's not leaking at all. But it looks like it's, like it's pretty good to go. There you have it. We got that all put together. I've got the cardboard under it. We're leak testing it. I'm going to be watching that piece of cardboard a few times a day for, like I said, about the next week. Just to make sure that there's not going to be any leaks. At this point, you would go ahead and attach your sink fitting, toilet fitting, bath fitting, whatever else you have going on to the end of that. Now, this is just basic shutoffs. In the future, we're going to be doing more plumbing here. I'm moving these shower controls over to the other side or maybe against this wall. I'm also moving this toilet supply line back against this wall here. We're going to be framing this wall in with furring strips when we go to do the bathroom. So that's going to involve a lot of cutting, some sweating pipes in with solder and a torch and all that stuff, changing whole sections of pipe here and there, and that's something else that we'll get into that I'll teach you guys. For the time being, I think we're pretty good on this. I've got other stuff to tackle today, and I'm going to go ahead and handle that. That being said, 6 months ago, I knew absolutely nothing about plumbing. Now, I'm not going to go out and say I know everything about plumbing, but I am going to say I know a hell of a lot, and I have a lot of that thanks to my dad. He's been very patient. He's been teaching me a lot of things around this house, and I've been learning a lot of things really quickly, and I greatly appreciate him. I appreciate the time he's taken with me, but not everybody has that opportunity, so I'm not going to say I'm going to be replacement dad. I've already got 2 kids. I don't want any more, but I can give you at least the dad advice and the dad lessons and pass down to y'all what's been passed on to me or what I've picked up elsewhere. So that being said, plumbing is nowhere near as scary as I originally thought it was, and as we say on every video, hopefully we helped somebody else today. And also, hopefully I'm assuaging your fears of plumbing and you can go ahead and save a little bit of coin and get your own shutoffs installed. It's not hard. It gets hard. Sometimes when you're up under a sink and you're laying upside down at a 45-degree angle with your leg in one laundry basket and you're foot in the toilet bowl and the kid stepping over you and the dog sniffing your crotch and all that, it gets to be a pain in the ass then. But as far as the actual job itself goes, 20 minutes. If I didn't have to screw around with going to the hardware store and back and filming for you guys, explaining, moving the camera and tripod and doing all this different stuff, about 20-25 minutes to install a couple of sink shutoffs when nobody else is home anyway and I'm not rushed. So it's not a bad job. Thank you guys for tuning in very much. Go ahead, do the whole like, subscribe, and share. Tell your mom, tell your friends, tell your dog, whoever's going to go ahead and click on this and listen. Don't make me get down on my hands and knees and beg for views. Let me get out there in the world and help some more people with some things. I think that would be really awesome just to help this grow and spread like that. Y'all be safe out there and have a great day.